Hi, my name is Madelyn Radcliffe. I sound like this because I do have the flu. Sorry. And I do say I might butcher these names. I'm so sorry. So sorry. So the first response video I did watch was Miss Bounds. Her main clause was the national civil rights movement. Her main focus was MLK's life and his impact on history. His first impact was 1956. When he was 26, he was arrested during the boycott bus usage of predominant African American communities. In March of 1965, King marched and gave a speech in Montgomery, Alabama. How long? Because no one can live forever. So in her video, I do agree with her as well. I do like how she was very friendly towards her audience. However, I would say only thing for improvement I would think would show a little bit more visuals. And then the second video I watched was Bella Williams. She was in Stones River battlefield, and it was, as she stated, was one of the most deadly reported battles in American Civil War. The battle happened from December 31st to 1862 to January 3rd, 1863. So it was only a 4-day long battle. The Confederate Army launched a surprise attack on the Union's right side. Majority of the fighting happened in an area that was called the Slaughter Pen. It was very rocky, as she showed in the video. It was very unleveled. There was rocks everywhere. It was just, if I would have ran over there, I would have tripped. And another spot that she has stated was the Hell's Half Anchor. It was a very open anchor. If someone was obviously in a battle was sniping you from one side, obviously they can see you because it's open. And then January 1st, the battle paused. However, the town of Murfreesboro, she did state how it impacted, had to give up their homes for soldiers, either wounded, housing, whatever. So Murfreesboro was impacted from the battle of Stones River. And then over 1,800 soldiers were either killed, wounded, or missing. However, the Union did win. And in the cemetery on the Stones River battlefield has over 6,000 people are buried there. And in 1927, that is when it became a national park. And then what I do say, I do agree with her video. I think she came off very well. I do like how she showed videos when her showing her view of the slaughter pen just made me grasp about what happened there. As well, the only thing I would say for improvement, maybe just get a little bit more familiar with your audience, seem a little bit more friendly. And then the second video I watched was Ella Wilson. It was Winsted Hill Park, Battle of Franklin, November 30th, 1864. General Hood was a part of the Confederate Army. And in November 28th, 1864 was the battle before Winsted Hill Battle. They advanced at 4 p.m. They were immediately shot at. At nightfall, the Confederate made another failed attempt. There were estimated about 8,570 casualties. The Union won the battle. And I do agree with her usage of how she was going about her information. The only thing I would say for improvement, I would have loved to see her response of her being there instead of just a voiceover. And then the second video I watched was I'll Ask This video, Traveler's Rest. It was built by Judge John Overton in Nashville, Tennessee. It was originally a land inherited by Native Americans. She talked about the history of them being there. And the major points were Judge John Overton was a prominent lawyer, judge, political figure, his family, including Colonel John Overton, Harriet Maxwell Overton, played a significant roles during and after the Civil War. Tennessee ceded in June 1861. Traveler's Rest became a Confederate headquarters until under General John Spells Hood in December 1864. And in the Battle of Nashville, December 15th to the 16th, 1864, Union General George Thomas led 66,000 troops to defeat Hood's 22,000 Confederate soldiers, marking a turning point in the western area. And then historic preservation after the war, the Overton family returned and built Travelers Rest remains on a historic site that prefers the estate's architecture, Civil War history, and then memory of enslaved workers. So I really did like how she had a voiceover. She showed when she went there, took pictures. The only thing I would say for improvement was you can do a video being there, just like of how you felt there. But besides that, I do agree with her. I think it was a really great video. And I just liked how she spoke during her video. And then the second video I watched was Angel Perez. She did her video upon Oakland Mansion. However, it kind of connected with mine because I did mine about Gettysburg Village, and I talked about Murphy because he was a main part, and they named it Murfreesboro after him. So I think that was awesome how ours connected in one. I mean, obviously because it's Murfreesboro. But, so she talked about the mansion was built over a long period, and then, Oakland was caught between Confederate and Union forces. Both sides stayed there. And then there is a 130-foot white oak tree outside the property. I do like how she came across with the video. She showed the area. I really like that. It gave me a little bit of a visual representation without me being there. And then the only thing I would say was just to be there instead of a voiceover so I could feel how you feel being there. Besides that, I do agree with her video. I think it was a phenomenal video. So yeah, that was my son.